So I've just pressed record on the workshop, and there will be a couple of people coming in as they find the link and all that sort of gorgeous stuff. So we'll allow people to come in as and when. As with every single Sparkle call, you're very welcome to put a little introduction in the chat and the link to your Substack. It would be so lovely if you could find each other's Substacks and connect. I'm absolutely delighted to be hosting this session and being a participant as well with you guys. I don't get to do this very often when it comes to Substack, and I've been really craving that, where I can just put down my strategic brain and all of my knowledge about Substack and just immerse myself in a creative practice session. So this is what this is. So I'd love to introduce you to Aimée. Aimée is going to host the workshop today, and we've talked everything through in advance. There was a little bit of a miscommunication with Substack in that I emailed everyone on my whole list with the link that was open access. So I'm just going to honor the fact that that was a beautiful invitation. So there are a couple of people here that maybe might be slightly confused as to how they've ended up here, but you are all welcome. This session is for my Nurture Your newsletter cohort. It's for my Diamond members, which used to be called Your Substack Magazine. So if you are part of any of those programs, or if you accidentally got the link, you're all welcome. And I'm really pleased that you're here. I'll hand over to Aimée, and we'll talk more about what the opportunities are in terms of what we do next, after Amy's done an introduction, if that's okay. Hi, Aimée.
Hello. Oh, I'm so excited to see all of you on the screen. Yeah, thank you so much, Claire, for inviting me to come and talk. I'm just going to dive straight in to my PowerPoint presentation that I haven't done a PowerPoint since I've been like in school. So it was yeah, trying to remember how to use it all. So let me just share my screen. Now we had a bit of a Can you all see that okay, Claire?
Yeah, so that's grand for me. And guys, what I did was there's a little button at the top where it says you are viewing Aimée Francis Coates' screen, where it says view options, and there's a drop down. So if yours goes off center or slightly off, you want to go 100% original size, which is the third option down. But do message me in the chat if you're having any problems, but that worked for me. If it's gone fit to window, that'll be slightly off center. So keep it 100% if you do have any problems.
Oh. Well, thanks. And yeah, thanks, Claire, for inviting me to talk to your lovely community, and especially about a platform that's fast becoming my favorite, Substack, of course. And so I'm here today just to talk to you about how to craft the often dreaded about page in such a way that will just help captivate your audience and your readers, attract more subscribers, and build your community. So here's what we're going to talk about within the next 40 minutes or so. We're going to think about how to approach your Substack page, how to nurture your unique voice, how to put it all together and structure it, writing tips and tricks, and there'll be time for a question answer hopefully at the end. If as I'm speaking you have anything like pop into your head that you want to ask, please do pop it into the chat and I'll come back to it at the end. You'll know that like you get a replay of this, and I'll share the deck with Claire so you can go away and implement it at your own time. So yeah, you'll get all this, so please don't feel like you need to write notes or anything, or you can just sit and soak it in. Or if you're a person who learns by seeing, you can pull up your about page too, and follow as I go through. But before we do all that, let me introduce myself. I'm Aimée. I'm a full-time freelance copywriter. I work with lots of lovely brands and creatives and agencies to help them with their words. And I really, really want to help my clients grow thriving and joyful businesses. I officially started my Substack back in January. It's called Flourish and Fair. So I'm still quite new to the platform, but I'm loving it, and I'm loving everything and all the knowledge Claire's sharing. And with my Substack, I want to invite my readers in to share my little corner of the Cotswolds. So this is my about page, just so you can get a flavour of what my publication's about. I invite you to step into my old cottage, take a cosy seat by the Aga, and I'll make us a pot of tea. It's a place in the countryside for kindred spirits, creativity and connection. And I've made sort of a little mood board there of the kind of content and flavour that you'll get if you sign up. So that's it, let's dive in. So when you're running your business, you've probably done those like ideal client exercises, what your demographic is, where they live, what magazines they read, and you're really kind of focusing on this person and building everything around your reader or your customer. But I want to shift your focus away from that, away from the about page or the empty page, and start thinking about your Substack as a place. And really, your about page is a perfect opportunity for you to create this place, because essentially that's what it is. You know, your Substack is your own little handcrafted corner of the internet, and you're inviting readers and welcoming people into it. So you want to create a sense of place. That's why I want to talk about creating a sense of place with your about page. And just here's some examples to kind of get you thinking of how you can create a place or a space with your publication. Maybe you are like a London travel blogger and you share places to go in London and best places to eat. So maybe you're an artist and you want to invite people into your studio and dive into your work. Or maybe you're a cook and you share recipes and you're inviting people to take a seat at your kitchen table. Or maybe you're a flower farmer, which is what I would love to be in another life. And you want to take people into your garden and talk about botany and plants. So from the kitchen table to London, to a studio, to a garden, this is just examples of the kind of places and spaces that you can create on Substack. So let's think about then how you can apply this to your own Substack about pages. And here's just a few little things I want to get you thinking about. So where are you transporting your people to? What kind of place is it? Think about the sights, sounds, and smells that you'd encounter in this place. You'll see from my about page that I'm inviting people into the Cotswolds. And today I had my cottage window open and I could hear like a cuckoo. And I was like, oh, I've never heard a cuckoo before. So I've scribbled that down and I want to write a post just about discovering things for the first time in nature. So yeah, that's just something to think about. Where are you transporting them to? And how do you want them to feel in that space? Do you want them to feel sort of calm and cozy, or inspired, or maybe motivated? And it's helpful to write down a list of sort of 5 to 10 adjectives that describe the atmosphere and the feelings you want to create. And also, if you're a visual person, like I am, you need a board that represents the place, and you can have it on your about page straight up, so people instantly get a flavour of your publication, or you could just have it for yourself, and then with everything you kind of refer back to, this is what I'm trying to create. So I think thinking about your Substack as a place is just a really nice approach, and it takes away the fear of, I didn't know what to write on my about page. I didn't know what to say about myself, and becomes more about holding space for your readers. So now that we've thought about place, let's move on to think briefly about our voice. Many of you are writers, so you're probably fairly rooted in your voice and quite confident using it. But with my copywriting work, when brands come to me time and time again, like they're struggling with their voice, they don't know what it is, or they haven't found it yet. That's a great phrase we use, isn't it? And that might be holding you back. Sorry, just didn't mean to press that. That might be holding you back. Claire, can I just ask you, can you hear me okay? Because my internet just came up saying it's very unstable connection.
No, it went a little bit unstable, but it was fine. All good. And we've got the PowerPoint slide that says voice with all those beautiful trinkets behind.
fine. As soon as it rains here, my internet connection just goes.
Amy's like me. This is what I'm always apologising for in rural Northumberland. It's like not the whole of the UK, but these rural pockets, we do have challenges.
Good. Okay. At least you can hear me. Just if I like disappear or freeze, someone just shout for me. Yeah, so voice. So a lot of creatives sort of struggle with their voice. They don't know, they know what they want to say, but they don't know how to say it. And I think that can hold you back a lot from starting something. And especially somewhere like Substack, it feels sort of a lot more personal and from the heart than perhaps your social media might or your business website might. And so, yeah, you might be a little worried of how you sound. This is one of my favorite quotes by Neil Gaiman. The one thing you have that nobody else has is your voice, your mind, your story, your vision. So write and draw and build and play and dance and live as only you can. And I just love that. Whenever I feel like I have imposter syndrome or, oh, what I'm doing is not original, I just think, well, it is because no one else says it or sees it how I do. So I think that's just really important to come back to time and time again. And so when we're thinking about voice, it's already within you. Your voice is you and you are your voice. So you don't need to like go out looking for it or sort of delay putting out posts or updating your page because you're still kind of figuring out or finding it. Voice, like any muscle, like any other muscle, the more you use it, the stronger and more defined it becomes. So yeah, just keep writing, keep going. And yeah, like all muscles, it just you'll be more sure over time. Another thing about voice is it's constantly evolving, just as you are. And people change, life happens, and so your voice has to evolve too. So don't be afraid to play around, experiment, and let go of a certain style if it no longer serves you. And then I think this is really important about sort of honing and shaping and pruning your voice is throw yourself into new experiences, especially creative experiences. Even if you feel like you're no good at them, like go to that life drawing class, finally pick up the instrument you've always wanted to learn. Maybe even read a book in a genre that you wouldn't usually read. And just keep throwing yourself into new experiences. And it's all just shaping your voice. Try more pages. This is a concept probably many of you are familiar with. It was coined by Julia Cameron in her best-selling creative living book called The Artist's Way. And basically what it is first thing when you wake up, before you speak to anyone or reach for your phone or get into the day, you just get out your notebook, pick up a pen, and you just write unconsciously until you fill 3 minutes. It doesn't matter what you write, it doesn't have to make sense, and you don't have to look at it again, but it's just really like getting all the stuff out of your head into a page, onto the page. And the point Cameron was making is when you kind of clear your subconscious, that's when your creative best work comes. And this is a really good exercise for your own creative practice or personal journaling. And yeah, it's just a really nice way to exercise your subconscious voice. Keep a ledger of words and phrases you love, and also phrases or words you feel resonate with your readers or your clients. As a copywriter, I do this a lot. They could be single words, metaphors, phrases that resonate. Start compiling your own dictionary. You can start sort of sprinkling these phrases and words through your about page and your Substack posts in general. There's loads of words I love, excuse me, like cellar door. I just love how that word sounds. I'm like, where can I get cellar door into my Substack about page? But yeah, it's always nice to have just sort of a list of words that can inspire you. So now that we've thought about approaching Substack and nurturing your voice, I want to come on and talk about structure and how we put it all together. So when someone lands on your about page, let's just say that Claire and I were having this discussion the other day about how we're subscribed to so many Substack accounts, and we don't necessarily go to people's about pages anymore. So, and our attention span is just rubbish, isn't it, in this digital age? So you want to make sure that when people do come to your about page, they get a sense straight away of what you're all about. And I use the word show deliberately here instead of tell, because you want to kind of show people through the words you use, or maybe it's really beautiful image you're using up front, what they can expect, if they subscribe to you. So yeah, try and really straight away, the first thing they see is evokes a sense of who you are. So one example I love is, it's just really simple. It's from an account I subscribe to, Letters from Tuscany. And straight away I know, okay, seasonal Tuscan home food at its best. It's going to be talking about cooking, Italy, seasons, and there's a picture of Julia cooking in her kitchen. And yeah, and then it gives me a really short intro into who she is, food writer, author, and cooking class instructor. So I know straight away what I'm going to get. And I think the seasonal Tuscan home food at its best is a really lovely descriptive line. She's not trying to sell me anything. I am Julia, I am a cook. But it's just a really nice play of words, so I know what I can expect from it. Then after you show what you're all about, you want to start building connection by tapping into the reader's desires. So for example, if your Substack teaches people how to run a creative business so that they can quit their 9-to-5, then you can sort of start thinking that as, how can you use that mission as a vehicle for connection? So you could tap into feelings of, the readers come to your about page because they want to learn how to run their own business, because they want to master their own ship, be at home for their families, have more flexibility. And then you can start to sort of connect those desires. Here's what I offer, here's what you want, and let's start building a bridge. I call it the kindred thread. You're finding that little link, that desire, that want, that interest. You're finding that, and it connects you to another person. And as soon as someone sees something on your about page that they are looking for, and they can sort of see themselves in the writing or perhaps the imagery used, they're far more likely to click subscribe straight away. So, of course, introduce yourself, put a face to the name. Photos of people are really what connect you. You know, if I had seen that Letters from Tuscany, if it had just been like a plate of spaghetti, I'd have been like, oh, nice. But seeing Julia in her kitchen cooking and laughing with her partner, I don't know, I just immediately, it just brings the humanity to it. So yeah, don't shy away, get a picture of yourself on your about page. And then clearly tell readers what you're offering, so they know straight away what they can suspect from your publication. So with Substack, that will be talking about your different tiers of memberships, what a founding member can expect compared to somebody who signs up for a couple of quid a month. And it's just very, very clearly laid out, so there's no ambiguity. And it just helps people make decisions quicker about what they'll get. And set your expectations as well after you've communicated what they'll get, what they can expect. So will you be posting every week? What kind of posts are you putting out? just be really, really crystal clear about what makes your Substack publication gold. Take away sort of any ambiguity of version and just show really clearly how your publication will add value, and that'll get them reaching for the subscribe button. So here's another little example from me and Orla. It's quite like long sentences, but the paid subscribers get extra benefits, like, and she's just written it really clearly. She's made it quite pretty with the little stars. Yeah, and it's really easy to see that. So another nice thing that you can include in your about page is social proof. What other readers say about your writing is actually really powerful. I know if I land on a page and I'm attracted to the pictures and the language they're using, and they have recommendation for other readers, makes them look quite legitimate, like this will add value to me because another reader says so. So if you haven't got any testimonials, just reach out to like your most faithful and engaged followers and ask them if they would pen a few words about why they love your work, why they subscribe, and yeah, share that on your back page too. And then finish off with a really strong call to action, like a subscribe button. Yeah, I think a lot of times we expect people to know what they should do next, but often we just have to tell them and remind them. So yeah, keep it really clear what action that you want them to take. So that's the sort of settlement of the about page. And to be honest, that's the kind of general framework I use when writing my about page, when I'm writing about pages, not even necessarily on Substack, but just for my client in general. So I hope that is like a helpful bit of templates that sort of helps you visualize laying it all out. So here's a few more little general pointers on structure. Please make sure your writing is easy to skim and scan read. I do a lot of copywriting audits for clients, and one of the things, long reams of text. And I always say people do not read, and especially on a screen. I can't remember the actual statistics, but our brains remember and retain information when we read on print, and our concentration is so much better if we read like a magazine or book. But as soon as it's on a screen, our eyes just skim the page. So you really want to make sure that your work, your about page, is skimmable and scannable. So this is where headings and subheadings are your friend. Label them really clearly. So when people land on your about page, they can find the information that they need straight away. They just want to find out, they just want to find out about what membership is. You've made that really clear in your about page. So they can just scroll down and get that straight away. And yes, use visual elements, visuals and elements to break up text. Like I said, nobody's going to read a big wall of text. So try and break that up. Give your about page a bit of white space, give your words a bit of breathing room, and break it up with photos, illustrations if you're an artist, your motif from your logo, or any other branded elements. Yeah, and here is an example of that. It might be slightly cut off for you, but this is from Haber and Sparrow, and she has made, she just separated her text out by sort of diving into the name and why she chose the two words and how that relates to her publication. So I thought that was really nice, something I'd like to do in my own about page. So that is the structure, which often I think is the hardest bit, isn't it? Sort of thinking when you're staring at a page, how does everything flow? How does it go together? So hopefully that has sort of given you a framework to move in. Okay, my favorite bit, the writing bit. we're just going to look at some general tips here that will improve your copywriting on your about page, and not just the about page. You can use these little copy tips in everything you write. So write in the active voice. So for example, instead of saying I have lived in a rickety old house by the sea for many years, you would say I live in a rickety old house by the sea. Make it present tense, make readers feel like they're right there with you in the space, that the action is happening right now. Really invite them in to where you're at. And then speak directly to one person. Use the word you, make it conversational, make it personal and intimate. Almost like you've written your about page just for them. And when they feel like that, when they feel invited in and you're speaking to them and you're tapping into their interests and desires, they'll definitely want to hang around and subscribe. Find the kindred thread. So we touched on this a bit earlier. And this is really about finding the thing that connects you. Is it that you and your reader both crave a simple life in the countryside? Or maybe you both share a similar worldview or set of values? Just anything, but finding this little connecting thread that sort of takes the onus off you. This is my about page. This is the stuff I've done. This is what it's all about. And sort of makes it about the two of you. So it's a conversation. And when people really see like themselves reflected in your about page and on your Substack, they'll reach for the subscribe button. Because really, at the end of the day, people just care about themselves. You could be like the most beautiful writer in the world, the most beautiful photographer. Will that make people want to sign up and read what you have to say? Or is it because it speaks to something within them? It speaks to desire and interest. So just really spend time sort of finding and following your kindred thread. And then tell stories. Oh, humans just love stories. Since the dawn of time, they have been what connects us. And storytelling really helps us to make sense of the world and each other. So, your about page doesn't have to be a CV. It doesn't have to be, I do this, I do this, I do this. Lead with the story, But in saying that, just don't overdo it with images and metaphors. It's much, much better to pick one strong image or metaphor than that is cohesive and sort of trying to be really descriptive and creating a sense of place and using all these little things. So just do it simple, keep it simple, pick one strong image or metaphor and go with it. And clarity is key when you're writing. Before I was a copywriter, I thought I was going to be a poet or an author. I went to university and studied creative writing. And then when I came into the world of advertising and copy, it was such a different part of my brain. Creative writing is all about making people feel something and beautiful, lyrical, poetic language. And copywriting is making them take action. It's making them sign up for a newsletter or buy the microwave that Curry's you're trying to sell. And so I have to be a lot clearer. I have to take out the noise out of my mind a lot of the time and a lot of the flowers, and just make sure that what I'm writing is simple, because simplicity really is the most is the best form of writing. It's the most effective and persuasive. And so when you're selling something, be it even just your Substack membership, don't make sure it's clear. Don't let the creative stuff get in the way. And then show and tell. So have a variety of language that you use in your about page and your posts in general. You know, yes, of course, you can be flowery and poetic in some places, and then other places you want to be super duper clear. So just bear that in mind. And as well, vary your sentence structure. Rhythm in writing is really, really important. You know, long sentences that you can describe something or set the scene. And then short sentences are just hold your attention, little bursts of information. And when you read out loud, just big, long, run-on, flowy sentences, they're sort of hard for the brain to process. Okay, what's this saying? So we need those little short sentences to summarize and explain and tell. So just make sure that you do that. Reading out loud is really effective for this. If you're gasping for breath, take out a comma and put in a full stop. Lead with benefits. So talk about the benefits over the features always. This is the golden rule of copywriting. And really, to get to the heart of something, to find the benefits. So the benefit on the surface is probably deeper than the benefit deep down when you scratch away a little bit. You need to keep asking yourself why. So I'll give you an example because I probably didn't explain that very well. So if, say, that a car company was selling like a family-sized car, brand new in the market, has state-of-the-art braking. And that's sort of the brief that comes through. Family car, really great brakes. Okay, so why? Why does that matter to your customer? Well, because these brakes will help them stop quicker. Okay, why is that important to them? Well, if they stop quicker, then them and their family will be safe in the car. Okay, why is that important? It's because they love their family and they want to keep them safe. So you can sort of see how the journey you go on when you're scratching below the surface and beneath and digging down into people's desires. So yeah, so with cars, they're selling that the family, the love, rather than these brakes are really great. Cars often, you always see these really amazing car ads, don't you? And they're riding through the mountains and it's all very adventurous. They're selling adventure there and freedom because that's, I guess, what people crave. So just try and dig a bit below the surface. Try and kind of scratch down into why people are coming to your about page. Could it be, I'm just trying to think of the example I showed earlier with the Tuscany food writer. Could it be that I want to nourish my family and I want to learn to cook and to be inspired by other cultures? And it really is that about connection and nourishment. So really dig down. Okay, I'll stop preaching about that now because I could talk about that forever. Avoid using lots of words ending in ing. I don't know why, but it just sounds clunky. And yeah, so avoid that. And then the best writers aren't always the best grammarians. I can't even say that. So if you write this beautiful about page and you don't know how to use the punctuation, you know if it's right, don't worry, beat yourself up. I have a proofreader that I pay to and an editor who goes through everything because I am, my gosh, yeah, I'm not great at grammar. So writing and editing are quite different skill sets, and I think a lot of people confuse those. So apps like Grammarly are just really great for picking up your little grammar mistakes or spelling mistakes, and the free version is really good. You can download that as a extension in your toolbar, and as you're writing, it'll just pick that up. So don't let that put you off either. And then with the editing process, now that you've written it, let's think about editing it. Try the overnight test. So this is what I do all the time, is get away from it. If I write something, I leave it, I come back to it tomorrow. You see things that you didn't see before, you notice the mistakes you made, you find maybe a better way in or a better an angle. And if you're really dedicated to, say, like your scheduled post on Substack perhaps has to go out that night, and you don't have time to like try the overnight test, step away from your screen, let your eyes look at beautiful things, take a break, and that'll help sharpen up your editing skills. Read out loud. Just amazing how many writers don't do this. You need to read your work out loud to see how it sounds, how it flows, if it even makes sense. And that's when you'll pick up those pesky little mistakes. And ask someone else to read it as well. It's always good to get someone else's eye on it. Maybe it is your partner, maybe it's another Substack friend that you have. But it's definitely good to get a second pair of eyes on your work. So that was a fly through. Class on your about page. Yes, please do sit with it. You'll get the slides. Maybe there's one thing that I said that maybe really resonated with you, and you can go away and think about that in your own time. A lot to sort of package in there. But yeah, thank you so much. And yes, if anyone has any questions, or please do pop up and speak, and I'll do my best to answer.
That was amazing, Amy. Thank you. So I just encourage folks to think about just that short bit of advice that you gave around that introduction. So the Tuscan cooking example, we were just right there, weren't we? And it was like one photo, one line. So I just encourage folks to share their publication bio in the chat. And last week I put out a post around how the bio connects with the about page, connects with the writer bio as well, because there are lots of places for copy on Substack. And actually, when we dive into the about page, we're almost kind of pulling out, okay, once we get the about page, we've got everything. And this is what I teach a lot of. You don't need to write 4 different sets of things for welcome email, hero post, bio. It's just write your about page, like get that so it's feeling really, really good. Follow all of Amy's advice through. And I think just getting that first couple of lines really tight where it feels like, yeah, that's it. It's really clear, and getting people to read that is really good to do, because then from that, obviously, you can expand. So over on Sparkle on Substack, the post that went out last week that's called a bio, a boilerplate, and a balloon. You can put your bio in there. You can copy and paste it in the comments. And then the one before that, you can post your about page link in. And this is for everyone. So you're going to get lots of eyes on your work if you take part in those challenges. So just to mention, this is running concurrently with those things. I wanted to ask Amy about the 5 whys, and I don't know whether you were doing the 5 why framework, but I was like, oh, she's asking why, go deeper, go deeper, go deeper. I find that really, really challenging to do, so you gave the example of the brakes on a car, but for us, we're like, oh, it'd just be really nice if people read my work. I don't know, it's like, it's hard, so what is that why? What is that deeper thing? Like for me, it's about connection. It's about sharing my skill set, obviously encouraging people that there is another way to look at Substack. We've learned a lot from being on social media. We can grow joyfully and sustainably, and I try and tease all of that out. But definitely for Creatively Conscious, I'm like, well, you can if you want. I need to go deeper into that. So how do we do that for ourselves? Like, how can we push ourselves further to kind of get deeper into what we're about, what our work's about?
I think I have to have, like, now this sounds a bit dramatic, but maybe be a bit vulnerable and ask yourself, really strip it back and ask. So for example, with my Substack page, and I don't want to be preaching on about myself, but
no, but it is beautiful. I just want to say, if you do read Amy's about page, she's very recently written it, and it was like, wow, like I was just there with her. It's very, very powerful copywriting. So do have a look if you haven't already. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. Thank you. That's kind. And it's funny, like about pages are the hardest thing to write, and I write them as like my bread and butter, but writing my own is such a hard thing, and it is because people don't know how to pack it. They don't know how to package up their magic. They don't know how to share their beautiful worldview with people. So my Substack, like I briefly mentioned, it's all about the Cotswolds, it's about seasonal living, it's about the little villages around about me, the traditions, the heritage. And why is that? And when I really go down, it comes from I, as a child growing up, I moved house like 12 times. I went to like 8 different schools. I never really felt like I belonged growing up in Northern Ireland. And then when I came here, I was just like, this is where I want to put my roots. This is my place. This is my home. And so that sounds a bit like of a dramatic reply, but that's what it is. It's that feeling of belonging and being rooted somewhere, I guess, is my publication. Maybe for you, it is just, maybe it's not as deep as that. Maybe for some of you, it is like you want to share your art, but why? Is it because you want to be seen? Why do you want to be seen? Like, do you want to connect with people, or do you feel misunderstood, or anything, like, it's just those kind of maybe hard things as well.
Mm-hmm.
This is I love doing this, but also maybe there might be a bit of a more mood of reason in that.
Yeah, there's something to go into there, isn't there? And maybe we can work with this in a living, breathing way where, we take it for a walk with us almost, and we're playing it over in our minds as we're going for a walk. If it's about from your kitchen table or from the place like you live, like the busy London streets example that you gave, wherever it's from, wherever you're inviting people in to reach your world, you need to be in your world as well, don't you? Like, obviously we are, but sometimes we're so busy in our world, we don't see the everyday stuff. And there can be something quite special about grounding into our world, rooting in, that we might find and discover for the about page.
Mhm.
The imagery and the photography stuff, do you have a sense of whether that should be right at the top? So maybe a photo like the example that you gave. So there's a photo of Gillian, I think you said she was called, and a kitchen table. So that's right at the top. So we see that visual, and then obviously we'll skim down and we'll find what we want to find. Maybe we're thinking about going paid and we want to know what she offers behind the paywall. But is that the place for it, do you think? Is that what we're structural wise, we think that is a good example?
Yeah, I think so. So with mine, the way I've written mine is I have sort of the word, very short paragraph up front, and then
Mm.
you can sort of see them working together.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, I think so. And I think that it's really important, like the first image that you use on your page,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know.
Yeah.
So I use, sadly, I'm not a photographer, so I use Unsplash and
Hmm.
Pixels to source a lot of beautiful imagery
Hmm.
because, again, and another reason why I put off writing my about page was for so long is because I hadn't got any like professional photos taken, and the imagery was starting to hold me back. And I would just encourage you, don't, if you don't have image, you stock is fine,
Mm.
don't let it hold you back, but just
Yeah.
try and make sure it works together.
Mm.
Really gives people a sense up front. And it depends what kind of person you are. If you're quite like a visual person, you might want to have your mood board or whatever, or your picture up front.
Yeah, and it's a new medium for us all. This kind of deepening our creative practice that we spend time immersing ourselves in the Diamond membership and in Nurturing newsletter, is because it is a practice. So when we come to our about page every 3 months in the Sparkle call, there are always things that we want to bring to that about page. It's really
Mm.
interesting because we can't actually see the stats of who subscribes via the about page route. I've not found that anywhere. I am going to ask Substack about it while I'm in this research space. But with the hero post, so the one that kind of complements the about page, we can clearly see how many people press the subscribe button on that post. And I've said to people in past calls, it's a lot. It's a lot of people that land there with a visual image or a start here invitation, and then get whatever they get, whichever, whatever you want to write as part of that, as that extension of the about page. And then they land and they say, yes, please, I'll subscribe. So it's a lot more than you would think. So this is why the visuals can be really important. But like Aimée says, not tangling yourself up in it. You mentioned about having a mood board, Aimée, and you could just do something like that on Pinterest, couldn't you? Or even, if you've got your favorite stack of magazines, just to try and work out what your visual identity is as a creative who writes or as a writer. Because sometimes other people are like, well, I don't know, I don't really know, I don't know how to find that. So you've also got your session with Lauren Barber around storytelling within your brand. So your brand isn't kind of your logo per se, it's everything about how you present as a wholehearted human. So that's there as well, which is a great compliment to this workshop. But like Aimée says, we don't have to get tangled up with it. We're just going to have a go and make a start at something that feels different, something taking all of Aimée's advice, and I need to do this with shorter sentences, and that kindred thread is so important in my co-created work anyway. So it's like, how do we do that piece of it? Anyway, I'm babbling. You guys might have questions for Aimée. I'd love it if you did. If you want to write in the chat, or you can unmute. I am recording it obviously for replay purposes, but it just goes out behind the paywall for Diamond members and then into my Nurture Your Newsletter program, which is only 11 people in there. So you don't have to feel too shy, hopefully.
And yeah, if you even have writing questions in general, maybe not specifically about the About page, I'm happy also to take those.
Great. Fantastic. Yeah, I'll just check, see if anybody said anything in the chat.
I had a quick question.
Oh, hi, Blythe.
So, hi. When you mentioned the hero post, so how would you, if the hero post, if you're putting that kind of front and center, would you have the hero post be like, would you write your About page as the primary source of all of this, and then the hero post would be kind of pieces pulled in like a different picture? Like, how would you kind of work the two together?
Yeah, Aimée, do you have a hero post yet?
I don't, and I was just going to say, because I'm still new. So Claire, this is I'll take your advice on this one.
So the idea of a hero post is when you land on the Substack homepage, it's there and it's pinned, it's front and center. So that's why the visual is really important to think about. So I just did a tiny edit in Canva, which is my biopic, so people recognize the biopic, and then lots of glitter, because why not? But the hero page itself, and I've not looked at it for a while, I wanted to talk about neurodiversity, and I actually wanted to talk about how we're consuming written content on Substack. So that's not appropriate for an About page. Like, that's way too detailed and deep. So it's kind of, from what I remember, it's a little bit about who I am and what I'm sharing on Sparkle and Substack. And then it's this kind of idea of be it consuming the internet as a neurodivergent woman, but also how we miss bits and how we're not as connected to the full picture. Like, we're the only ones that know our work the way that we do. So there's something about that. And I pulled in a couple of pieces of research that I was quite fascinated with. Over on Creatively Conscious, I just pin whatever is the most relevant space holding post. So at the moment, it was a free workshop that I delivered. So I haven't got like a hero post as such there. It's like, this is how you get to know me. So it could definitely be held in a better framework than it is. But for now, because I get so busy with Sparkle, it's like, that's enough. Like, I'm going to hold that there for new people that are landing. So I do think it's something that just kind of appears like a flash of inspiration. Like, once we get our About page and we've written a few posts and we've chatted with our community, we sort of understand what is the important thread to pull on to say, okay, this is what this space is. And then that's why the subscribes are high, because by the time we've nurtured what it is that we want to say, it's really clear. Aimée's talking about clarity a lot. It gets really, really clear, but there's a process to that. I don't think unless you were a professional copywriter, you would just be able to come and write a bio, a publication description, an About page, a welcome email, a paid welcome email, all the things. It's so much. So yeah, I feel like just letting it breathe and enjoying the process of it is really fun to do.
And then I guess with an About page, it's going back to the clarity thing. It's just giving a sense, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is what you'll get. So it's almost quite transactional, I guess. It's quite informative.
And that call to action, Aimée, we spoke about this the other day. Like, for me, it's just the subscribe button. It's like, that is primarily the overarching thing that we're asking somebody to do who's landed on the About page. We want it to be a no-brainer. Yep, subscribe, and then they're in. And then within the welcome email, which we'll talk about in future sessions, that's a place where we can list more of the places that they might want to click and get to know us. So it's an interesting one. I don't know whether copy and imagery alone is enough, on Substack, is it enough? Like, do we need to show them our top post? Like, we just don't know where they've arrived from. So I'm still very open to having, like, if you've got a post that's done really well and you want to have that in your about page, as long as it's got a subscribe button in it as well, you're still going to get the result, aren't you? The person's still going to press the subscribe button.
And I think it's a journey, isn't it? It's like a journey. So it's almost even getting a piece of paper and sort of mapping out. And I know you don't know where they're coming from necessarily in Substack, but just visualizing where it all sits together and how they link out to each other and what you're talking about where. That's helpful for my brain anyway, to see it like a...
Yeah, the subscriber flow, I think, is genuinely different for every subscriber that finds our work, because there are so many places within the Substack network. So Alison's here, and we just chatted last week, and she's relatively new to Substack, and she said, oh, I've got like, a few subscribers already. They're just finding this work. And that is the beautiful thing. You set it up and you do a post and you might do a note and you've got your about page, and people are coming and people are saying, yes, please, I'd like more of this. It's a very supportive place that way. Okay, more questions, anyone? You're super welcome. What else did I write down? Oh, hi, Sophie. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Can I just say, Sophie is my incredible virtual assistant and friend, and Sophie does my Pinterest for me. So we worked together for a little while now, since last September, I think. And
Yeah.
Sophie is amazing at Pinterest. So I'm like, do my Pinterest for me, Sophie. She's great. Welcome.
Hi. So I've been writing on Substack for a while now. Sort of like a personal lifestyle publication, but I'm pivoting now because I'm at the point of being limited in my work as a virtual assistant. I've been able to offer more hours to people because I only have so many hours in a day. So my plan is to get a Substack where I can put out some posts with like some simple things that they can do in their business to help reduce their overwhelm, and maybe some teachings and stuff like that. So the problem I'm having at the minute is it just sounds very official, very harsh, very corporate. How do I, even though I'm sort of like teaching and it's not really a personal publication, how do I input some that's just less boring to read and make it engaging?
So I would think tap into their kind of, get away from the corporate speak, pepper that in a bit, pepper it in so it's clear what you're offering. Start off maybe with of why they want what you've got. Is it they, like I can see in the background, is it that they have a baby and they want to be at home with their family? And you can say, that's why I started my VA business, and use that as a connector. Is it they want to grow their business a certain direction? Or there's so many different reasons why people want what you're offering.
Yeah.
So you would even kind of like take a big page and be like, what are the 10 reasons why they might want my services? And then ask that why, and sort of get down to the core, and maybe you can distill it down to like maybe 3 major, maybe like time freedom, they want to location freedom, whatever, and just then that be the hook. So you're leading that rather than being like, I teach you to do this.
That's where I'm struggling.
Yeah, well, as Claire said, after this I'm going to be like doing some support packages, so definitely would love to help you with it, and we can get a bit more one-to-one and get more granular.
Yeah, that'd be great, thank you.
And I see someone's, oh, sorry, Claire.
I was just going to say with Sophie's work as well, because obviously I know where I was when I approached Sophie. It might be worth just like emailing out all of your clients and just like 2 questions, just 2 quick questions. So for me, I didn't want my brain to be continuously reminding me of the things I hadn't done. And I was putting them off. And so I was like, Sophie can do these things for me, and then my brain won't keep telling me I haven't done them. So it was a real, just like, I don't want to think about those things. Like, that's fine. They're off the to-do list. So there is a real sense when you're a business owner that there are all of these things to do all of the time and not enough time to do them all. And especially if you're really firm with your boundaries around how you balance your work and your life. So
Yeah.
there could be some really nice stuff that comes through from your clients that helps with that copywriting. Because I know you're good at copywriting, but I know that it's hard. You sometimes do just get blocked, can't you? You're trying to just say, this is what it is. And actually it's the transformation that's been enabled for people like me and other people you work with, I think, that will help you some more.
Yeah, that's really good. I'm launching in May, and I'm just trying to like batch a couple of posts ready to go out, and I'm just like, the stuff in there is valuable, but it's just a bit like boring. And I just wanted to bring a bit of storytelling to it, but then it needs to be relevant storytelling. So that's been really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think someone's put in the chat case studies, like I said, social proof, you know, if you
Yeah,
have those, and if you even you can be sprinkling those throughout, so your clients are doing the heavy lifting for you.
yeah,
Yeah, and even ask them, like, can you give me 3 tangible ways that I've really helped you? And I think the more kind of specific, almost the better, because you're helping people probably in ways you don't know. And I think
yeah.
that showcases all these stories you don't know. And I think that showcases really nicely the people interested in you, how you can really help on a granular level.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much.
Okay, any more questions? We're coming up to 1 o'clock, but there's time for another question. If anybody would like to ask one, or pop one in the chat and Aimée can speak to that question. You're so welcome. If not, I'll just fill the time with another question. It's fine.
I had a question. Hi, Tossin.
Hi.
Sorry, my camera's not on because
I know, it's like,
keep-
oh, it's not on my page, but hi, welcome.
Yeah, my little one is dotted around, so I'm kind of
Oh, that's
paying
all good.
attention.
You're so
Sorry.
welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. So my question is kind of maybe slightly opposite to Sophie's, in the sense that my Substack is quite new and is, well, I started from a personal perspective. And so I think that's why I struggled with the about page, because I don't know, it felt quite, it's been quite introspective at the moment, because it's just about me and my personal kind of creative rediscovery journey. And I'm finding it, because when I do kind of hear things about page, or kind of when I get into that, okay, marketing mode, it feels a bit like that's kind of not the mindset I've had with it in terms of how other people see it. So because the focus is really kind of storytelling or quite personal at times, how do I, kind of change that lens? I think that 5 whys piece I found that really helpful, and that's something I'm going to go away and do, to see kind of what that kindred thread piece is. But I just thought, in terms of, I guess, personal type Substacks, or ones that kind of just like a more, at the moment I haven't got an offering or things like that. I think that might come with time. How can I do it when it's kind of so new?
Yeah, so that's a really great question, Tosin. And I'm the same almost. Like my publication, I don't have any paid things on it, and I just want to do that for the love of it. And because a lot of my like stuff that I get paid to write is stuff that I don't really want to write, you know, for my agencies and things. It's like really a space where I can just dive in and explore, and maybe that's sort of where you're at. And I think like that's beautiful, and there's so many lovely Substacks out there that people do just sign up for, or I sign up for, because I like the person. So I think it's really kind of going back to that Neil Gaiman quote, like nobody else has your worldview, so like what you're offering is enough. And I think, like you said, that the why exercise was helpful. Maybe it's just doing that, and then sort of finding that core thing and that thread, and just making that a bit more upfront in your about page. So if it's just a space for like general personal musings and motherhood and pulling out those things, but yeah, no, I think personal Substacks are like among my favorites, because you just get to read people's thoughts in such a deep way that you don't really get to anymore with social media. So yeah, I hope that's helpful. But definitely, if you want to afterwards, if you want to get together and kind of thrash that out, I'd love to help you.
Yeah,
no,
I
that was
think
helpful. Thank you.
it's really beautiful to hear from Aimée on that. And like having been on Substack for 2 years, you know, there have been people that have just popped up and just been like, there's some musings. I'm going to do some musings. I don't know where it's going to go. And mine definitely, and it probably still reads, I started this Substack because X, Y, and Z. And it was to do with falling back in love with long form writing. Like genuinely, it was a personal drive where I just wanted to write more because of some personal circumstances that were happening in my life. And that was enough. And I just have taken my reader. I can't even tell you where I've taken those original readers because it's bonkers. But at the core of it, it was me, you know, just going, this is what I want the Substack to be now. This is where I see that it fits within my business. This is the membership that I want to host. These are the things that are important to me. Now there's a podcast. And so we almost don't have to have it all figured out. We can say to our readers, this is why I'm here right now. And then because we do those 3-month reviews, it refreshes that for us. And we're like, wow, it's become this, or we've had to take some time off and we maybe paused a little bit. There are people, this sounds really sad, but there are people I miss who started Substacks and aren't there, or either like on an extended break or decided like it felt too intimidating, or when Substack brought in some changes, you know, it became like noisy and that was too much for their nervous system, because it felt like there was a real deep connection of like camaraderie, colleagueship, kinship, support. And, you know, I loved their writing. And they weren't saying, well, I've got this business and I've got these packages and this is who I am in the world. And it wasn't like all expert. It was just messy and human and real and very, very different to the experiences that we've had on social media, where we're constantly being tried to be influenced. You know, it's like it wasn't that. It was just wholeheartedly human. So yeah, could wax lyrical, but that's all still there. You know, that hasn't gone anywhere. People are still turning up every day and going, what if I start a Substack? What does that mean? So it's there for us, isn't it?
And the pressure, and I feel like this with every kind of art, the pressure to monetize stuff, like that's fine if that's what you want to do. But if you just want to build a writing practice and share your musings on like a journal, that's fine. Like, don't feel like you have to treat your about page as a marketing tool, or think, how does this sit within my business? Just do it for the love of it.
Yeah, I love that. That's kind of where I'm at. I just want to kind of enjoy it. So yeah, thank you both.
You're super welcome. Okay, so I should let Aimée go and get some lunch and stuff. But thank you all for being here live. It's so beautiful to see your faces, to connect in with everybody, for you to see that we're all in this together. Thank you to Aimée for hosting such a thoughtful workshop. Like I have so many notes and I have so many threads that I want to pull on in terms of like this beautiful craft of honing this work, you know, and showing up for it. So I'm going to set everything up in a replay post for you guys, so you feel like you've got it and you can just revisit it whenever it's right for you. There are never any deadlines as such. This is a creative practice that we're in, but Aimée can help 10 people, so including the people that watch the replay. So what we've said is it's going to be the first 10 people who are ready to post the link to their about page within the next couple of weeks. So you get to it when you can within the next couple of weeks, and Amy's going to take that about page and she's going to feed back to you with some editing suggestions and some thoughts on, you know, with their professional mind on things, but also just kind of going through how that's made her feel as a reader, because she's also a reader on Substack. So that'll be really beautiful. Thank you for doing that, Aimée.
Thank you so much. I've loved it, and yeah, thank you for your questions, and Claire, it's been brilliant.
Oh, so lovely to see everyone. I'll see you all really, really soon. Let me know if you need anything. I'm on the DMs on Substack 5 days a week. I'm there. Okay. See you soon. Have a good day. Bye, guys.
Thank you.